a second. Any comment from the public on a consent agenda item?
Through the chair, we have one card for Karen Liggett.
Well, actually, I have two, this one and the public comment. Okay, on number 386-2022, the Foothill Community Supported Food System, that I'm bringing it to the attention that when you guys do this, take it off the calendar and the agenda calendar and bring it to the public, because the public needs to know about this to be addressing their input on it, as well as the people in the foothills. A lot of them do not want to deal with the fellowship, the cult, and their products that they're selling. So you guys need to let the public know where the food is coming from, because people in the foothills don't want nothing to do with the fellowship people. They've mentioned it over and over and over and over and over. And I just seen it again yesterday. People do not want anything from them. So you guys as a board needs to be aware that the people in the foothills need to know where their food is going to and coming from. So then that way you guys will be aware of that. Because I just found out yesterday that somebody up in the foothills does not like the fellowship at all. Another member up there, people that live there. And they're concerned about health issues from the stuff that is coming from them. So I thought I'd let you know, pull it from the consent calendar, bring it to the public. Thank you.
Great. Back to the board. Any comments? Very good. I have a first and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to special presentations. We are very pleased to see a full house today. And I'm telling you, we have a full house. For those on Zoom, I don't know that you can see everyone, but we do have a full house. So let's turn this over to Kevin. There it is.
We can see now. Yeah.
For Angela?
Let's see. Can any? Okay, there we go.
You're good.
We're good now. All right. Good morning, everyone. Should I stall for a few minutes? Need a few jokes?
Yeah.
Can
the dance would be nice too.
Can you make that picture? Can you make that picture bigger?
The bad dad jokes. Right.
Show the house. I mean, wow.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Chair, members of the board, and the public, and,
Should be able to make
fellow county employees. Today's, or this morning in particular, is kind of our annual day of celebration, and it's always kind of good to take a day, kind of pause and reflect on kind of the great assets we have here in Yuba County. I know the board talks a lot about, we have natural resources, we have water, we have this and that, but we also have a group of dedicated public servants that serve this community well. And so it's nice to annually get together and reflect on milestones that those public servants have achieved. And so this morning, we're going to be recognizing folks that during calendar year 2021 achieved milestones in the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and even a 40-year milestone. And yeah, I know.
Angela, can you bring that picture as background rather than the Employee Service Awards? That'd give you-
Before we get started, I'm going to have Jill Abel, who's our HR director, and the HR department is really the one that helps facilitate this this presentation annually. She's going to help me as we kind of go through the names. Her and I are going to alternate through. Let's see. So Angela, are we good to go?
Yes, I think so.
Thank you very much, Angela.
All right. And as far as kind of facilitating movement, we're going to have people come through the table here, and then the board, if you guys could come down between the flags there, and I believe there'll be a photo op for each group, and so that everybody can hear the names. Maybe wait until the end of each group. So we're going to start with the 10-year group, and then we'll hold our applause till we're finished with the 10-year group, which surprisingly is a small group compared to the 15-year group, which is rather lengthy. So I'm going to take the 10-year group, and then I'm going to let Jill take the lengthy group. But all right. So could we have Suzanne Hindo, Cindy Souza, and Jolie Turk? Come on up. All right.
The next group that we're going to be recognizing today is for 15 years of service, starting with Paula Almagar, Liliana Barrington, Jason Bledsoe, Angelica Bravo, Russell Brown, Elizabeth Corneal, Arizona Holly, Darcy Knox, Alice Pittman, Daniel Rittner, Monica Saini, Melissa Shaw, Maria Yanez, and that is our 15-year group. Congratulations.
right, our next category is 20-year, which is actually longer than the 15-year. So we had a busy year, I guess, back in 2001. All right, so leading things off, Perminder Baines, Gary Bradley, Ka Yang Cha, Lavina DeCamp, Lauren Foster, Jerry Henry, Carla Jacobs, Sherry Clabeau, Cindy Lavender, Christina Lay, Brant Lowe, Veronica Ludwig, Dina Manning, Ron Naso, Marianne Nishimura, Shannon Putman, Courtney Heiss, Jerry Schicht, April Sonnenberg, Brandon Spear, Cheryl Totten, Kathy Weidener, and Renee Wilson. All right.
Okay, the next group we're recognizing is for 25 years of service. And the first is Richard Horak, Thelma Magana, Kimberly Ross Pollard, and Gina Zurikowski. Congratulations.
All right, our next group is 30 years, and actually it's longer than 25 years. So as far as the list of names. So could we have Brian Bump, Michelle Cahoon, Michelle Mazerol, Jan Rockwell, Lois Stevenson, and Tina Taylor. All right.
So we only have one person to recognize for 35 years of service. So you can clap right away when I say your name. Margaret Hochstrasser.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe,
All right,
providing indoor
so
storage units,
I guess this is the main event.
outdoor RV and vehicle
We
parking,
have one person to recognize for 40 years
moving
of service.
supplies,
and,
and
this
Penske truck
person,
rentals.
he
Details
definitely
at
gets around. And it's his job
PlumasLakeSelfStorage.com.
to get around. My guess is he probably has met or at least brushed across just about every employee at the county over his 40 years here, which I envy him for that. That's a nice position to be in, to be able to mix and mingle with everyone here at the county. So without further ado, John Houston. All right, John. All right, board, before you say a few words, I just want to thank the board for allowing us to do this each year and supporting this effort. I think it means a lot to us county employees, so thank you.
It means as much to the public, to everyone in this county. So if all of you would look to your left, look to your right, and look behind you, that's what makes Yuba County special. I'm telling you, this county is going to grow. It is one of the leaders in the state of California, and it's because of you. So thank you again very much.
Can I say something?
You can.
Okay. I'm passing through the halls today and heard somebody talking about a Yuba County family. And that's what this is. This isn't a county government. And just so you know, we couldn't do what we do as Yuba County without your professionalism and your expertise in so many different areas that make our job so much easier. Thank you.
Through the chair. not too much more to say other than thank you for your dedication every day to this community and this county. It's greatly appreciated.
So I agree with Andy. It's really a pleasure to be involved with this family. Thanks.
You guys are doing great.
Okay. You are all welcome to join us the entire meeting if you'd like, or you can do the option and go back to your cubicles, whichever you'd like. I know. What do you think? I know.
Well, you have to use little words when you talk to me. Oh, are you too crazy? No. No such thing.
That's what we want.
And it was good. Okay, now we're down to the dedicated few that would like to sit through the meeting. Moving right along. Public communications, if you would, Angie.
Any person may speak about any subject of concern, provided it is within the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors and is not already on today's agenda. The total amount of time allotted for receiving such public communications shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes, and each individual or group will be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Prior to this time, speakers are requested to fill out a request to speak card and submit it to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors. If you are participating via Zoom and wish to comment, please use the raise hand function or *9 if participating on a phone. Please note no board action can be taken on comments made under this heading. And through the chair, we have one card and no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay.
The first card is Karen Liggett.
Karen Liggett, Marysville. I went and looked up last week on the requirements for being on this board as well as the water board. And I noticed that it said that you cannot be indulging in alcohol and drugs being on the board, that you have to have a clear mind. So I thought I'd bring that up because I'm wondering if this board takes drug tests. And if not, why not? Because if you have that as a requirement to be on the boards for the water board and this one, then why isn't there not drug testing? Because you guys are serving the public. So you guys have to have a clear mind in order to do this. And also, if you're going to, do it voluntarily. And if not, the county needs to force you to take a drug test and alcohol, make sure you're not on alcohol beverages while you're doing your duty. So I thought I'd bring that up. So the community as a whole will know if this board is capable of being on the board. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do we have any Zoom hands up?
Through the chair, there's one hand raised. Donna Wahlberg.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to comment on the fact that the meeting agenda always says 9 a.m. that the meeting starts, and yet almost without fail, it seems like there is a Health and Human Services or Health Department issue that takes place at 8:50 a.m.
Donna, if it's okay for me to interrupt you for a second, I went ahead and asked them to put the item that you were concerned about on the general agenda, so it will not be on the consent agenda, and that way you can address it at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate
No problem,
that.
Donna. Glad to help.
Thank you. Okay. Anyway, that was my comment. I don't know why we just don't say the meeting starts at 8:50 a.m. You know, if we're going to have an agenda item that starts at 8:50 a.m. start the meeting. Anyway, thank you.
Any other comment? Any other hands?
Through the chair, there's no more comment. No more hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, so from there, we'll go to county departments. Item number 394, 2022, Health and Human Services approve agreement with governmentjobs.com, Inc. for web-based learning.
Morning, Chair, members of the board. My name is John Cornell, Deputy Director with Health and Human Services.
Good morning.
And I'm here today to seek your approval for a 3-year contract with Government Jobs, NeoGov, for $64,669 for a learning management system for use at HHS. So let's see, in the last fiscal year, 21-22, HHS completed over 14,000 hours of training. We think that's a lot. There's a lot of those trainings are mandated by the state or the feds, like privacy and security, HIPAA, civil rights, cultural diversity. That's just a few of them. They have to be completed at the time of an employee's hire, or again annually, or every other year, depending. That's the way that we address that effort now is primarily manually. Somebody has to reconcile all those records and determine if employees have completed their training or when they have to complete them again. This system would allow for an automation of that effort, which would be great, we think. It also allows for our employees to complete the trainings on their own schedule. So historically, what we've done a lot is have instructor-led trainings, or ILTs, and we contract with somebody to come provide the training, and all of our staff, we coordinate their time that they'll be there. Inevitably, some employees are absent, or some employees may get called out of the training due to emergencies. This type of system allows for employees to complete those trainings on their own whenever they have the time or have the availability, and they can complete them in little increments and little packets rather than having to sit down for a full 8 hours at a time and be out of the workforce and dedicate an entire day to training. So we really like that. There's also a lot of other features and benefits that we think would benefit us greatly at HHS. While it would be great for us to have the time and the resources to develop all of our own trainings, we do develop a lot of them, but we simply can't do all of them. This system comes with over 1,500 courses that are prepackaged and ready to be deployed in the workforce. It's cloud-based. We really like that. If we have employees that are off-site for whatever reason, they could still complete trainings if they need to. And then, of course, a database that tracks everything, so the employee themselves can see their training journey that they've taken as an employee at HHS. The supervisor can run reports, the training coordinator, managers, they can run reports and see any of the trainings that have been completed by any of the employees. And there's some other features that we really like that weren't listed on here, like a course catalog. There's some things now with all of our cobbled together manual efforts that we simply can't accomplish. If employees want to know what trainings are available, they either have to ask or dig through their emails and try and find a record of an announcement of a training. With this system, we'd have a course catalog. Employees can look up those trainings on their own at any time. And we would also automate supervisor approval. So one of the things we think is a requirement for any training system that we have, the supervisor needs to approve the employee's request to take a training, and this system automates that entire process. So for all of those reasons, I am seeking your approval here for our 3-year contract with NeoGov for $64,669. And I can answer any questions that anybody has.
Questions from the board?
Through the chair. Are there courses that would be beneficial to other departments to take that you have on the system? Say ethics, sexual harassment, required courses every 2 years. Is that available too?
I think there probably are. I know that our mandated trainings are specific for employees at HHS. We haven't really had a chance to dig through all of the prepackaged courses. Some of them in there were technology based, like how to use Microsoft Teams and how to use PowerPoint, things like that. And, but any training that we have could be packaged up and put in this system and sent out to any of our employees. This contract here is specifically for HHS, so I think there would be an increase in cost if this were going to be implemented for more licenses than just HHS.
Curious, we have the state to work with on some of those required courses, and they're back in medieval times, we call them.
So Andy, I think you have a really good point, and it might be worthwhile for staff to take a look at the options that are available, since if we have a contract, and then what would it cost to enhance that and to provide other training throughout the county?
If they have computer classes, that would be beneficial to the entire workforce to be able to take that online.
Okay, I think that's going to be looked at. Very good. Any comment from the public? Back to the board.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 400, 2022, County Administrator. Appoint Mary Pasalius to the position Clerk of the Board of Supervisors.
Are we going to get to put her up in front of the...
limitation today. It takes 2 to run a hybrid meeting. You have Angela here in person, and then you have Donna behind the scenes running Zoom. Am I correct?
In this case, it's Mary, but...
Oh, I'm sorry. Why did I say Donna? Okay, so I had Donna on my mind because that was one of the things I was going to talk to the board about is that she's had some great mentors over the years. So Mary has worked underneath Donna Stottlemyre originally when she was hired in the clerk of the board's office, and then most recently Rochelle Ferris. And I believe that they have groomed her well for this next step in her career, and why I recommended to the board, and I believe the board supports appointing Mary to this position. Now, a couple of things I wanted to go over with this position, because it is a change for Mary's employment. This would be an at-will position. And as such, there's also an employment agreement that we're recommending the board approve as part of this. And I just wanted, based on County Council's recommendation, go over a couple of the highlights of the terms, because I believe I need to present them orally, although they're in the staff report. But so the basic terms, the appointment would be effective August 1st of this year. So the beginning of this month. And as I mentioned before, it's an at-will position, and as such, in the employment agreement, if for whatever reason the board decided to terminate employment, there is a severance pay provision with up to 4 months of administrative leave. which is standard for pretty much all of our at-will department head level positions. The salary for her would be based on the current clerk of the board salary schedule, which has a base rate of $644 per month. And then with her index rate, which is currently 1.30, that means her monthly salary would be $8,378 per month for the current fiscal year. Another part of the compensation would be a monthly vehicle allowance, which is common practice with all of our at-will department heads, and it's set at the same rate as our other department heads, which is currently $300 a month. And I believe, did I cover enough of the terms orally, Council?
And then other benefits as per other management employees.
Yep.
Well done, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So does the board have any questions about the item before you today?
Questions from the board?
No, I'd like to just move to approve. I got to do that.
I'll second.
I think we have a first and a second, meaning there is lots of support for Mary and the ability to do the job. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? She has 100% of the board in her corner. Thank you for the presentation.
Excellent. 100% approval rating. Better than the president right now.
Much
Yes,
better. Whoa.
70% more.
Okay, moving to item, and this is exciting, by the way, for the full board and everyone else that travels. 402-2022, adopt resolution amending the policy, our travel policy.
Yes. Good morning, board. Kevin Mallon again, County Administrator. So this has been the current policy is nearly 15 years old. It was in need of an update. And it was a collaborative effort. You have my office working with the auditor's office and human resources and county counsel's office, and doing a lot of research to see what other counties are doing, what their travel policies look like. And I know this is going to be a tough one for you, but we're going to recommend that no more gathering up receipts and for meals and trying to figure that out. We found that there's a much better process out there, one that's been embraced by a lot of other counties and, frankly, the federal government for some time. And so there's a federal per diem rate for meal reimbursements that's pretty standard in the industry, and it's something that is part of this policy. I think that's one of the headlines in this is moving over to a meal reimbursement that's in line with the federal policy. So the rates are set based on the destination that you're traveling to. And the federal government does a great job of keeping track of rates and making sure they're adjusted annually for inflation, et cetera. So this policy, we see it being able to move forward over the years and stay current with current costs for meal reimbursement, and less administrative burden than the current process. A couple other highlights. We wanted to streamline the process for travel itself as well. And so we made a tweak in there that coordination with out-of-state travel for board members would be coordinated through the chair of the board, because the chair, to try and kind of improve efficiencies and also make sure that there's coordination there, because the chair of the board then can work with the clerk of the board to ensure there's proper budget for the travel that's occurring. The county administrator, if I have out-of-state travel, I would seek authorization from the chair or vice chair if the chair is not available. And then also we added a section about there's kind of routine out-of-state travel for some county employees due to social workers that have to go out of state for mandated visits. And we had in place kind of a cumbersome process where they needed my approval each time they did that. And so now we're going to streamline that and keep it with the department head for the department that's required to do that out-of-state travel. I mentioned the per diem rate. Another item on the Cal card, which is the county's credit card, because we're going to the federal per diem for meals, we wanted to exclude use of the Cal card for meals to kind of clean up that administrative process. Now, the Cal card is still available, and the Cal card is something that there is one assigned to every department in the county and available to take care of, like, for example, the hotel stays for employees that are traveling out of town, and something that can be arranged in advance if need be, based on circumstances. The other option would be for an employee to use their own credit card and seek reimbursement. But the Cal card is definitely available for those type of expenses. And then the other change, and this change that's in the travel policy, we're going to have to come back with some adjustments on things like the employment agreements for at-will department heads, as well as the ordinance that affects travel for the board. We're going to be recommending we not only adjust that monthly rate, but also there's a tweak to when you could seek reimbursement. So currently it's a bit vague, or at least it was in my opinion, and so we wanted to make sure it was very clear. So what we've done is essentially travel within a 50-mile radius of the government center would be not reimbursed because you have a monthly allowance. If you're traveling outside of that 50-mile radius, those costs can be reimbursed on a per mile basis for those over and above the first 100 miles. Because if you look at a 50-mile radius, you have there and back. So we tried to provide some clarity there, and that's something that we'll have to clarify in the board's ordinance section for travel, as well as the individual employment agreements. Let's see. I believe those are kind of the highlights of the travel policy, and happy to answer any questions the board has.
Questions from the board?
No question, just a comment. I appreciate the collaborative effort on getting this updated. Sounds like it'll be more efficient and easier, and the changes make a lot of sense to me. So thank you.
What will be the effective date?
Oh, yes, great. And it's funny, I highlighted that and skipped right over it. Sorry, because this gets back to the administrative process. So we're going to have an effective date for implementation of September 1st. That gives the auditor's office time to be prepared for this new process.
The 50-mile range, that makes Sacramento not reimbursable?
That's correct. And that's something that we can discuss when we're setting that monthly allowance for travel.
Any other comments? So, Kevin, I'm very pleased with all the effort and energy that you had to put into this with other department heads. It really makes sense to cut down your administrative time, kind of a waste of time going through the nickel-dime items, come to a consensus on a policy that makes sense, and I think that's what you've built here. And as you've indicated, there may be a few minor tweaks that you'll pick up as time goes along. So, and probably best of all is board, you heard the chairman either assigns or doesn't assign your travel policy. So just keep that in mind as it comes up in the future. It's always nice to bring smiles to the chair, whoever it is in the future. So we're back. Any comment from the public? Back to the board.
I'll move to approve.
I have a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Another 100%. Thank you for that presentation. And I see that we have a 10 o'clock certain time, which gives us about a few minutes to go around on the board here. So we'll do board and staff reports. Sandy.
One of the things that was brought to my attention by the fire is the need to have something in place for Yuba County. And I think that we had discussed this years earlier, and we discussed this recently. And I think that an ad hoc committee could be formed to provide a fire reactionary team, because so many times we look at these fires and they lose houses, cost us millions of dollars, and they could have been stopped in their tracks by actually pre-planning these events. Paradise, for one example, and the current fire for another example. That's up to the chair if you want to do that. We'll discuss that at some point in time.
So I like your thought process, and I'll talk about it a little later, but I think it's very appropriate. So why don't you and I become the ad hoc committee and work on a fire policy issue for the prevention of fires in Yuba County?
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. The Paradise fire could have been solved by people allowing for single engine airplane fire retardant to get up there and stop it when it was in the flatlands. So this is really something that's been ignored for years and years, and we have the ability to do this. So I think we need to do it for our citizens.
So by the end of the year, we will report back to the full board and let them know what we have and what we're working on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So September 17th is coming up, and that is Constitution Day. So this is a suggestion for an upcoming proclamation. So to commemorate the September 17th, 1787 signing of the Constitution, Congress has designated September 17th of each year as Constitution Day and September 17th to the 23rd as Constitution Week. They did this in 2004. So they would also, in keeping with these congressional mandates, recent presidents have solicited help from federal and local government leaders, as well as civic and leaders to hold events to commemorate the occasion. Something worth thinking about.
So does that mean you're volunteering to work on this for the September meetings, along with our newly appointed clerk of the board and county council?
Sure. There's also some local groups that are working with the schools to do various programs and events tied into that. So hopefully that'll kick off.
Are we going to allow the sheriff's department to enforce existing laws for that day?
For that day, yes.
We'll look forward to your report.
Yes,
Thanks,
we're all
Tom.
over it.
Thank you. Seth.
To build off that, actually, the Republican women's group in the area is holding Constitution Festival at Sycamore Ranch. And I believe Mr. Messick has a table at that event that we are all invited to. So consider this your invitation for that event. Is that correct, Mr. Messick?
There'll be several businesses in the community and just try to get information out.
Yep. So you guys have all been invited to that, and that will be at the Sycamore Ranch, I believe. And is it the 17th or? It is the celebration of Constitution Day.
I think there's an essay contest also.
There is also an essay contest with the local schools, as you mentioned.
Yes. So I think my
I have to be a high school student.
My organization of this is done. Looks like.
Great job, Don, as always. And then the theme of today being appreciative of county staff, I worked with the local grocery store that our inspectors were able to get open in an expedited manner, and we brought them a gift basket. So if you are staff, you should go mug them for various items from said gift basket.
Okay, Gary.
So following up on the appreciation of staff, we had a great community town hall in Plumas Lake last Thursday evening with representatives from community development and public works to talk about landscaping maintenance in Plumas Lake and some related items. It was also attended by OPUD staff and a few OPUD board members, as there were also community concerns about park maintenance. And it was fairly well attended. I think we probably had about 30 or so members of the public and some great discussion. Staff came very prepared to listen to the concerns and present a plan to deal with those concerns. So thank you.
Thank you. Kevin.
Just a reminder that we have budget workshops beginning at 1 p.m. in the Wheatland and Marysville conference rooms. Now, we also are, because we appreciate our board and want to make sure they're not hangry while they listen to these budget workshops. We have, I believe, is it La Unica today, Angela, or Togos? Okay, so we have, yes, oh boy, yeah. So anyway, so we have a taco bar that'll be set up around noon time to make sure the board is nourished before they start hearing the presentations at 1 p.m. All right, and that's all I have for today.
County Council.
Now I'm hungry.
All right. Want to break early? Is that?
The department heads funded that so they can get the budgets approved. Is that like how that dynamic works?
Nothing else.
Okay. Angie? So a couple of comments. Moving forward and to match up with our ad hoc committee is I would propose that our fire safety officer present to the board the latest and what's happening in the foothills, the potential for grants, our concerns, focused issues that would make us safer, and invite those individuals that have actually been active in the fire field, be it the fire departments or the Plumas National Forest. I believe they have a lot to offer that we can glean through and find ways to help prevent fires and protect our citizens. So if you would, I see Frank in the audience, if you would focus on that issue in a very near meeting, I think the board would support that, yes? I think so. So plan that in your agenda coming in front of the board very soon, and we'd appreciate that. Bring the Fire Safe Council and anyone else you feel is appropriate for a presentation on behalf of the citizens in the upper foothills and even in the valley, because once a fire gets going and the wind is blowing, we are all vulnerable to that situation. Okay. So we have a 10 o'clock. We're going to take just a 5-minute break. We'll be back here at 10 o'clock sharp.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe with lessons in person and personalized. Instruments including guitars and amps, horns, strings for instruments, and a myriad of music and sound equipment. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe.
That's just some information on that September 17th. Our founding fathers were so wise. Do it as a. Okay, we can do it as a resolution. All right. I think we want you to start drafting. I just wanted to make sure that you put it in the minutes. So it's a public. They're always declaring certain cases.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Supervisors regarding a zoning, planning, land use, or environmental protection matter made at any hearing described in this notice, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at such hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the Yuba County Board of Supervisors at or prior to such hearing. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual or group. Item 392, County Administrator Public Hearing, hold public hearing and adopt resolution approving an amendment to Recology Yuba-Sutter Collection Service Agreement for associated rates pertaining to the maximum service rates, Ponderosa landfill post-closure fees.
Okay, good morning.
Open.
Item recall. Is not picking up?
Oh, okay.
Okay, lean in a little bit more. Sorry, it's a height thing. So once again, Sean Powers, Assistant County Administrator. Your board will recall that we looked at the Ponderosa fees and rates last year. with the culmination of that fee schedule coming into adoption in November. This was our attempt to finally true up the revenues and expenses with the county's post-closure obligations with the Ponderosa landfill. We went into that thinking we were getting it just about right. There were a couple of unknowns last year that weren't quite a factor. We knew, one, there was going to be some additional post-closure activities that the state of California was going to require for water quality assurances and things like that. And I don't think we were factoring on an 8% inflation factor in the cost of just everything that involves the post-closure activities. So while we did get very close last time at looking at the rates, this would be just a minor fine tuning to get us where we need to be. This would cover all of the new post-closure activities that we're currently looking at that are required on the landfill. Those include the permitting, some water quality monitoring, and also some surface remediation and repairs to make sure that we're doing everything necessary to keep the landfill in good standing with the state, and then also a little bit of that cost increase that we talked about earlier. So this is the multiplier that goes on to any rate that anyone pays with the recology service. For an example, if you have a 32-gallon rate on your garbage service right now for residential, this would be referencing Section 4. Your rate's going from 48 cents to $1.58, roughly about a $1 difference. And if you have a 96-gallon, you have the big can, it'd be about $1.50 difference. But while we spread those out over the entire rate schedule, we figured this adjustment is projecting in to cover these cost increases we're anticipating, get us through our post-closure activities, and then down the road we can look at this again. But we think this will finally put us in good standing and good shape to cover all of the county's post-closure activities for at least the near future. Open with that to any questions. We also have Rigo Diaz from Ecology here to answer any technical questions should the board have.
Okay, I will open the public hearing to the board. Any questions?
You mentioned the monthly rate. Where did you get that dollar amount from?
Supervisor Vasquez, if you were to look at the proposed rate schedule, it's the comprehensive rate that Recology has. Just those examples I put out are Section 4 of the residential rates. I think that's what
residential program page 12.
I think that's about page 11 in the schedule, or page 12, correct?
All right, so, page 12, basic service rate.
So if you looked at Section 4 residential non-program areas, it shows like the 32-gallon and the 96-gallon rates. If you see that column in the right box, second one in, it says Ponderosa Transfer Station.
Okay.
In the proposed rate that has the new rates, and then you would have to compare that to the other schedule on there, which is the rates that were currently in place that were adopted last year. So on the residential rates, depending on what schedule you're looking at, because this is a percentage multiplier, on the lower end of the rate schedule, you're looking at $1.50. If you get into the commercial rate, depending on the size of it, because it is a multiplier, it might go up by a couple of bucks, and you can do the math from there.
Comments from the public? Any hands raised? Angie? Okay. I will close the public hearing. Back to the board.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
So I have a first and a second. One of the quick comments I have is, no one likes increases on anything, be it taxes, costs, but unfortunately, a business needs to stay open. And to do that, sometimes you have to raise some rates. And I believe this probably is a very reasonable approach and dollar amount to make that happen. So I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Roll call, because it's ordinance.
All in favor, we'll do a roll call. How's that?
Sure.
Angie?
You're the chief. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Supervisor Fletcher.
Yes.
All right, thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the only item that I failed to mention in my board report was I would like to close today's meeting on behalf of Wayne Springer. Anyone on the board is welcome to join me on that signature. Wayne is a lifelong resident of Yuba County, a farmer in Hallwood, and very well respected throughout the community. So it would be up to each of you if you'd like to do that. Okay. We'll be moving into closed session. I think we have 4 items to look at, and that's where we're headed.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe with lessons in person and personalized. Instruments including guitars and amps, horns, strings for instruments, and a myriad of music and sound equipment. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe.